Welcome to the Pitch Chronicles. I am Taz. Today we will be breaking down the upcoming doubleheader for today with the Twins and a lot of the injuries from key players and what the Yankees will do to navigate through such a bad timing on the part of Rizzo and Stanton. Benintendi surgery. We'll be breaking that all down coming up on Pinstripe Chronicles. Welcome back to the Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Tess. I'm here with Donald. Donald, how the heck are you?
Concerned about Randy Levine's statement, but other than that, I'm okay. How are you?
Good. I'm just trying to navigate mentally how the Yankees are going to handle these injuries that are coming, and it's not at the best time of the season to be having to find replacements for players that are supposed to be key contributors to our postseason run. But break down, in case anybody didn't hear, what was Randy Levine's statement that bothered us?
Well, did you listen to the interview, read the
I did not.
comments?
So fill us all in on.
Well, I mean, he said quite a lot. It was mostly Aaron Judge related. He said that. I mean, I'll get some of the comments up. You know, he was kind of boasting about how much revenue they're making. Anyway, he was also talking about Aaron Judge. Let's see here. Get some of the comments here. We know his worth and what he means, but I don't know what's in his mind. All we could do is show him how much we'd like him to remain a Yankee. So obviously he mentioned how important it is to be a Yankee. But he says it's also a negotiation. What we'll talk about with him as representatives in this offseason is how do we keep him? Then it'll be up to him. It will be up to him. Does he want to stay here? Does he not? Does he want to go somewhere else? Somebody offering him a better deal. He says, I think we'll be extraordinarily competitive. He goes, I've talked to Steinbrenner, and this is a family business. Hal Steinbrenner tends to be in this forever. I don't think selling is something even worth talking about. He also said that he supported the Mets hiring Steve Cohen, and he goes, there is room for two teams in the town. He also said that we make the most money. We've got record revenues at Yes Network and
blah, blah. The same bolstering he always does. Patting themselves on the back about how great they are and how that everything's going to be just fine and dandy, and they're going to be competitive in the off season. Yeah, we've heard this all before.
Well, I mean, I think it was just mostly saying stuff like, he knows his worth. It takes two to tango. We don't know what's in his mind. And negotiations, this is what kind of stood out to me. Negotiations have to be in the realm of reality, not unreality. I don't even know what that means. I think that ship has sailed with reality negotiations because the Yankees have waited this long to discuss a contract with him in the first place. I think that they obviously were really cognizant of making sure that it was fair on both sides, that offer that they made, rather than just putting out the best offer to make sure that that deal is done. I think that, when he says stuff like, oh, negotiations have to be done in terms of reality, I mean, at what point, what is the cutoff point then for the Yankees? Because maybe they'll just view, oh, this is not a contract based on reality. To be honest, one guy is carrying an entire team to the playoffs right now. Their backs are against the wall. He's their only player right now, literally.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think the Yankees have have definitely misjudged the situation to get to this point without signing him, and they're going to regret it. And also, how do they not know what's in Judge's mind at this point? Surely they would have an idea whether Judge wants to stay here or not, because it sounds like he's opened the door to the possibility that he's going to find a better offer elsewhere.
It does appear that way. Now, one of the things that when they threw the first contract out at him, right, they didn't have to go out and give him this mind-blowing, holy crap number because they weren't competing with anybody. I am hoping that once it starts to become a free agency negotiation, that number is going to significantly go up more into Judge's favor of the value of it. Why start at your highest price? When you negotiate it. So, but I Randy Levine is a very tricky guy. He doesn't make any sense because you don't know what's in Judge's. Of course, you know what's in Judge's head. He wants to get paid. He wants to play. He wants to play for the Yankees if the price is right. That's what's in his head.
Well, we hope so, but maybe there's a chance that he doesn't. And it sounds like he's leaving open the possibility that maybe he goes to California or whatever, because he goes, I don't know if he wants to stay here or not. I mean, at this point, not knowing whether your only good player wants to stay here or not is a concern to me.
How about structuring the organization to actually succeed and stop putting Band-Aids on everything and having competent leadership, competent management, and take it from there? Because it doesn't seem like that, these past few seasons, everybody's getting injured left and right. This is one of the first years, thankfully, that Judge is not had any stints on the IL. Nothing significant.
Yeah.
Well, the guy bet on himself and he's winning. And now the organization is going to try to backpedal that if he leaves, it's his fault. I'm not buying it. I'm really not.
Well, yeah, I think there's an element of self-protection there, self-preservation. Yeah, you touched on a couple of things there. One of which, this interview can be found in the New York Post podcast. John Heyman and Sherman. He also said he was also asked why the Yankees seem to be really worried more about luxury tax and than going out and getting the best player. And then he said that for instance. I think John Heyman said, Corey Seager was your ideal player for this team, lefty power bat, and he asked, was he ever considered in the offseason? And he goes, Brian Cashman never came to me with any shortstop in the free agent market, none. So he says, considering I'm a finance guy, if there was a free agent to be discussed, he'd come to me. He says it was a baseball operations decision not to go into the shortstop market. Do you believe that, or do you feel, that maybe they're just covering their asses?
No, it's definitely a cover-up. But at the same time, well, Cashman's ego to try to stay under the money, knowing, look, if Randy Levine and would have said to Cashman, hey, anybody that's on the market, I want to, we're gonna let me know who you want, and I'll figure out if the numbers work. All Cashman had to do is say, all right, what about this guy? What about that guy? Let Randy Levine and the money guys shut down the deals, and Cashman looks like a genius. Look, I wanted all these players. I was told I couldn't sign them. Now they're just tossing the blame all over the place because nobody wants to take the blame for it because we are having such a terrible second half. Now they're all trying to backpedal to save their jobs.
Yeah, I think there's an element of
You can't do that because one, it's all public of who was a free agent. We all know who was on the market. We all know who was available for trades. We know who's pulling the strings in the Yankees. You're not fooling any of us. We're not that stupid.
Yeah, I think there's an element of Reds jumping off a sinking ship. I think people are getting into already self-preservation mode because I think the writing is on the wall as to how this team's going to end up at the end of the year. Now, I still think they'll probably win the division, but I mean, their chances on October look frightfully bad right now with all the problems that are going on and off the field. I think there's a locker room issue as well than just injuries. But yeah, listen, I think that there's an issue with ownership and Brian Cashman. They put band-aids over certain positions. Like, for instance, the whole IKF Josh Donaldson trade felt like a band-aid, but now they're beholden to both, which doesn't make any sense to me. And the $50 million that they took on for Josh Donaldson easily could have been put towards Seager or Correa. So yeah, I mean, listen, I think the baseball operations department is in a mess, and I think the front office are in self-preservation mode.
No, it's unfortunate because you are operating under the brand of the New York Yankees. You have this this brand that just prints money left and right, and yet you don't want to utilize any of it to bring a to really build a real championship caliber team, which will then increase your revenues even more. So what do they? That's why it does nothing they do makes sense anymore. It really doesn't.
Well, it makes sense in terms of an operating budget, but I mean, as that podcast also pointed out, they put $200 million into AC Milan soccer team. Yet they were talking about luxury tax in the Yankees offseason. There seems to be a big disparity right there. What's their priorities? So Levine was also asked about that too, and he said that's unfair. He says the Yankees have had one of the highest payrolls in baseball, and I've spent the most over the last decade. So again, it's a lot of spin. But really, if you look at Tats, you're looking around the room like you look confused. There's a lot of spin going on. Like, for instance, if you look at inflation and stuff, the Yankees aren't spending nearly in relation to the rise of inflation. So they've still got a massive amount of revenue, but they don't spend in relation to the revenue. So
yeah, it's just I'm tired. I'm just tired of hearing them. It's all lip service for themselves because they're not giving us any answers of what they're going to be doing to fix anything. It's just they're just here's the blame. All right, hot potato, it's your problem now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next guy's tossing it to the next guy. It's all BS.
Yeah, no doubt. Brian Cashman will say, "Oh, well, we had a budget set by Hal Steinbrenner," and then
next thing you know, they're going to be blaming the bat boy because he's not, because he's not holding, pulling his weight.
Yeah.
Where does the blame stop? Where somebody's actually going to hold themselves accountable? I mean, look, I was supposed to put a winning organization out. I did not do. I put my best foot forward, but I failed. You'll never hear them say that.
But as I touched on, not just Randy Levine and not just the front office, it also comes down to the way the team's playing. I think it goes a lot deeper than just injuries and poor personnel decisions. Like, for instance, when Josh Donaldson pimped the single and then was thrown out by like 20 feet at second base, and he didn't even slide, and he laughed as he was going back to the dugout.
Mhm.
That's a great look. Great look. It's a great look
He's a
for
fool. He's
the
a fool.
locker room. It's a great look for old Brian Cashman's idea. Oh, he's going to bring an edge to this locker room. Doesn't look like he's bringing much of an edge. Looks like he's bringing kind of an arrogance and being a bit of a hole, to be honest. And then here's a bigger concern. Didn't look like Aaron Boone did anything other than give him a fist pump when he went back to the dugout. And there's no accountability in this team. It seems to be totally fine to make constant mental errors. And now this is where you have to look at Aaron Boone for. I mean, I don't think there's anything you can do about the fact that 8 people can't hit in the lineup, but there is something that you can do in terms of having guys ready to play every day. And clearly he isn't.
Yeah, no. Donaldson is like really to mirror what you said. He was brought here when he first got here. We were not happy with the trade. We were waiting for something else to follow it for it to make sense.
So true.
And then it was like, okay, obviously we noticed that he wasn't going anywhere. So it's like, all right, let's see what we can get out of him. And all we've gotten was controversy and
You're right.
Bad play. He's not hitting a lick.
Yep.
His whatever numbers he has is because he'll have 1 or 2 games that he'll really go on a good tear, and then he'll disappear for another season, a couple of series. Yeah, maybe we'll get a really good defensive play out of him where you're like, wow, all right, at least we still have his glove.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least he still has his glove. That's all he's worth right now is defense.
Yeah, for $50 million.
It's not and then the money. And then the money, like we said, that money could have gone somewhere else. You could have still had Urshela in that corner and gotten your shortstop. You could have given somebody a 1-year deal. Look, that's what they did with Correa.
It was all for IKF. Oh, we have to get IKF so desperately that we have to inherit $50 million, Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, and when we talked about IKF coming to the Yankees, it was as a backup role. It was
that's what I thought.
He was supposed to be our utility infielder on that side of the ball, not our everyday shortstop, where he's primarily a third baseman.
Yeah, I know that was crazy.
So
that's what Gio Urshela was.
It never made any sense. So
I was sure that they were surely going to bring in another shortstop and kind of pair them together and make it a platoon role. But they actually gave him the full keys to the kingdom when he's just a punch and Judy hitter. It was freaking crazy, man.
It was so unnecessary, and now we're going to rely on him even more. We're gonna need to find out if his bat's going to be able to have a hot month. We need him to have a really good month because we're dealing now. Let's get into the injuries on the team. We got Rizzo down. You don't know what's going on with LeMahieu with his toe. Stanton with the ball off his foot. Benintendi had surgery. It's
Carpenter.
These are we can't afford.
Bader and a walking boot. Severino.
Oh, yeah, Cortez with his ghost injury because of his innings.
Cortez. Chapman managed to get himself injured by getting a tattoo.
What a jerk. So now they have to withstand all of this while maintaining their lead in the American League, which if they would have been playing the way that they're supposed to be playing, we would have still had a double-digit lead in the division where we could have just says, okay, let's just ride this out.
Yeah.
Let's just get everybody healthy. With the division is still, the division is safe. We don't have to worry about the wild card round. We'll have the first round bye. We'll get everybody back healthy, and everybody's happy. We don't get.
By the way, what the Yankees PR people are forgetting to mention is the fact that our poor performance came before all the injuries hit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just because of the injuries. We got no hit by the Astros, for crying out loud, with a fully stocked team at home. And then since then, you lose to the Pirates, you lose to the Reds, you lose to the Little Sisters of the Poor. And this was all with a fully stocked team. So I don't want to hear about injuries personally. It's now a problem. Of course, it's a problem now, but I mean, it was. I think the writing was on the wall even before the injuries hit, and now that the injuries are hit, oh boy,
this downfall is not because of the injuries.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the injuries is not going to help solve your problem.
Definitely not, because I don't think Donaldson's going to be solved until the offseason. That's what. Oh, sorry, not Donaldson. Well, yeah, he's not going to be solved until the offseason just due to the fact he sucks. No, I'm talking about LeMahieu. His toe's not going to be fixed by the postseason. So this is an off-season thing. Looks like Rizzo. He was given a shot on his back, to get his back better, but it's giving him headaches. So he's on the IL now. So they called up Guzman, journeyman from AAA. So we'll see how he does. That's a problem. Bader doesn't look like he's anywhere close to being ready. That means we're going to see a whole lot of Aaron Hicks. The hamate bone on Benintendi, obviously he's just had surgery yesterday, so he's due back. Well, if you're lucky, mid-October. So, you look at this, and it's really unfortunate. But I don't want the Yankees to use this as an excuse. But they will inevitably use this as an excuse.
Well, yeah, no, that's exactly what they'll do. This, for them, not that they want their players injured. I'm not going to imply that, but you can almost, knowing how they are in that front office, these injuries is their golden ticket to if the season doesn't end in a World Series.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we had a really rough August. He goes, just when we thought we were, just when things were starting to turn around, we got hit with all the injuries, and it just wasn't, it was just bad luck on everybody's part. And no, we'll come back and we'll do it again next year. It's coming. It's coming.
Exactly. I think we should definitely remember that point, because you're completely right, man. If it goes wrong, you could totally see Cashman go, oh well, we were on course to win most games of any team in history of the majors until the injuries, and then we're gonna write it all out back next year. I can see it.
They have such an injury problem, and then on top of that, they add to the mystique of the Yankee training staff, but they're going, you know what? We're just going to trade for injured players because
exactly.
We're gonna get rid of a regular season staple in the rotation.
Yeah,
and we're gonna get somebody in a boot that maybe we'll get back because you don't know. And yes, there was a video clip the other day of him doing drills in the outfield. So it does look like Bader will be back a little sooner rather than later. But
he still has to go through rehab and rehab games, yeah, exactly. I mean,
but it does look like he's out of the boot, which is a good step.
Yeah, he is out of the boot. Again, as you mentioned right there, man, you trade away non-injury prone a dude that was available every 5 days for someone who there's a 50% chance or maybe 60% chance you don't see him at all until next year. It's a weird trade. I think I still would have done a trade.
You would would have made that trade, but it's not that I don't think you would be considered backpedaling when you look back and you go, all right, with the issues with Cortez's innings limit, because he's before the deadline he already maxed out on it. He already reached his career high.
Yep.
You could have skipped Cortez every couple of days, every couple of rotations, and you would still have somebody like Montgomery that was not going to be a postseason guy on your roster, but he was going to be a reliable starter to get you to October. So
yeah, I do think there's an element that the locker room did not like seeing Montgomery being traded.
No,
I think
they did not. They were pissed.
I think it's caused a problem. I do think there's an element.
I know him and Tyone became very close on the team. But with I want to really get a little bit more into it, these injuries and how the lineups are going to look, especially with a doubleheader today. And good timing for a doubleheader. So, uh, wouldn't it make sense for the Yankees? I know they called up Guzman. He'll probably get one of the two games at first base. Should they focus on with LeMahieu's toe? Should they just leave him at first base for now? This way, he's not, doesn't have to worry about too much over the infield range.
No, no, we need Rizzo back as soon as possible. We don't even know what we have in Guzman yet. We don't even know if he's major league caliber. We've got a problem, man. We've got a problem because other than Marwin Gonzalez, but he can't play first base. You saw that with the error. DJ LeMahieu is our backup first baseman in all intents and purposes, but again, that toe is not something you want to overuse. So we are in trouble, and it is legit. These injuries are legit. They're definitely not an excuse. They're a problem, and it's definitely going to have a big factor in how this season is going to play out. But I don't know how they're going to work this. They need guys back, but they also need health because Stanton's back, but he's not healthy, and then he's got hurt again. So this is the Yankees management of player personnel when they're hurt is diabolically bad, really.
Yeah, we've tried defending, and really helping with his PR with Stanton, but this year he's been too hurt for my liking. And
well, basically, I think he was obviously just about hurt prior to the All-Star game, and I think he exacerbated the injury at the All-Star game, and we've not seen him since. Let's be fair. Even when he came back last week, we've not seen him. He's not been good.
No, it's almost you hear a lot of players that do not go to the All-Star break because they really want to rest their bodies. I think Stanton needs to join that club. Just stay home. Put your feet up for a few days.
I still blame myself, man, because you were there. I bought a $200 Stanton jersey.
Yeah, I know you did.
On the no hit day. We got no hit, and I've not seen Stanton since.
That was, you jinxed him. You broke Stanton.
I did. I should always know better.
Yep. So with the migraines is tricky with Rizzo. We don't know how especially with an aggravated back, because once like we said, once you have an issue with your back, that lingers forever.
Yes,
that does not go away. So we might the Yankees really need to think about what they're going to do about that, because at least they were smart enough to bring up a lefty bat, to replace the lefty bat and not another righty, because they are very right hand heavy. I also think the one injury that's going to haunt us in the month of September is the Benintendi injury. I think that one is going to cause us a lot of headaches, a lot of shuffling in the outfield, a lot more hits. And it's just it'll be great content for us because we'll be pissed off all the time and people enjoy that. But, how's that going to, as long as they're contributing to the wins, does it really, we'll deal with it. But I think the Benintendi injury is going to, I think that's going to make or break our season of how they handle that outfield.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of importance, the LeMahieu injury is terrible because he's not had an extra base hit in like 20 games. So that's equally problematic. But I would also say Stanton, his injury means that there's no protection for Aaron Judge. And the opposition doesn't need to pitch to Aaron Judge. So they're all equally important, but I completely get you. I think Benintendi one meaning more hicks and kind of shuffling around the outfield is bad news.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really bad. we're gonna continue this discussion. But before we do, we just want to say goodbye to everybody watching on Northeast Streaming Sports. Wear your pitch out your pride, play hard, stay well. So, okay. So now, as far as um, the players on, yeah, that's actually very complex. That was not easy. All right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, we'll go into that in the post production meeting, as we say here in the entertainment business. But all right, so for the as far as what the lineups are going to look like for tonight, where do you who do you think they're going to plug in where to protect Judge? Because
Oh my God!
now what do you do?
I wonder if they'll.
Where's your threat with the bat to put behind Judge to make sure that they just don't walk him 50 times?
I wonder if we'll get. Do you think we should maybe check to see if the lineup's been posted? I mean, it probably hasn't, but we'll see. Because I have no idea. I assume that Guzman's going to play. So Rizzo's definitely on the IL now.
Yep.
So you're probably going to be looking at Guzman at first. Torres second, Short IKF third, Donaldson. I would say probably Cabrera right, Judge center, Hicks left, catcher Trevino. Who DHs? Who DHs?
Yep. Yeah, you see, this is not easy.
It isn't.
Now we really isn't. Who can figure it out?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they've screwed up Peraza. They've made a mockery of this whole Peraza thing. So, I don't know. Like maybe DJ LeMahieu plays DH just to rest his toe from playing in the field.
That's what I would do. But at the same time, you could also put LeMahieu at first, put Donaldson as the DH. No, you don't want to do that because the bat is what he can't bring to the game. At least he's bringing defense. You maybe leave him at third base. IKF is the DH.
IKF is DH. That's never going to happen.
It's going to get tricky. These games today are going to suck. Oh, they're going to suck so bad.
Well, you also know that the Yankees love to rotate. So,
I know. So it's who knows
with a doubleheader, the Yankees one of these games is going to be a joke lineup. You're going to see LaCastro is going to play.
Now,
Higashioka will play. You're going to have one joke lineup out of the two.
Do you give the joke lineup to Herman or Cole?
Well, I think optics-wise, I think it's better to give it to Herman because you need a W out of Garrett Cole. You need Garrett Cole to get us a W. Put him in the best position to succeed because what's being missed is the fact that he's got a very solid 2 ERA over his last 5 starts, but he's 1-4.
Yep.
And a lot of it is because he's not getting any run support. And if the Yankees are to succeed in October, they need a Garrett Cole that's firing on all cylinders. And I think confidence-wise and optics-wise, confidence-wise for the locker room, you need a W for Garrett Cole. So I think you need to put out as strong a lineup as you can, but this is not a strong lineup. It's not a good team. Let's just look at this lineup. It's not a good team. Apart from Aaron Judge, it's not a good team.
No, I'm dreading today. I really am. Normally I look forward to doubleheaders. It's just more baseball to watch, and I love it. But I don't know what the heck we're getting today.
But the good news is it's the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah,
and even though it does not matter how good the Twins are, and the Twins are actually pretty good this year. But the Yankees always kill the Twins. I think they're like 120 in like freaking 30 or something like that
Well, it's
over the
better
last
to do it against
150
the
games
Twins, I
against the
guess,
Twins.
than the Rays.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much we destroy the Twins. It's the only team in the majors that you can absolutely lock down that the Yankees are going to kill.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I'm so my mind is stuck on this freaking lineup. It's.
Where do you think they're going to put Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge will play center field leading off.
Oh, you're going to have him leading off again?
Because actually, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I'm trying to. God help me. I'm trying to think like Boone.
Oh, you don't want to do that. I mean, you're not completely stupid.
I would really. I don't know if I would want to get a little creative. Obviously, LeMahieu will lead off. Judge will bat second. And who do you bat third? You go Donaldson third?
Donaldson will clean up.
Donaldson. So who's going to hit third? Do you put shit?
Well, the last person they had batting third was Waldo Cabrera.
Actually, that's not a bad idea for the 3-0.
Well, they've done it before. I mean,
I
it's
like-
crazy because he's 0 for 19, but it's where the Yankees are right now.
Yeah,
basically no one's hitting.
They put themselves in such a bind. They really did. This roster sucks. The roster sucks.
It does.
I know it's not, and it's not that. You can't predict the injuries, but you can predict how bad their lineups are going to be.
Well, that's it. I mean, listen, pre-injury, fully healthy, we had half a lineup. We had Judge, we had Stanton, we had Rizzo, we had LeMahieu, right? This is prior to us acquiring Benintendi. We always had a half a lineup. Now, with all injured apart from Aaron Judge, we just don't have a lineup. Because you can't rely on Josh Donaldson in IKF. I mean, Trevino's the best catcher in baseball. There's not a question about that. He's been an amazing acquisition, but he's not really a bat guy, even though his offense has been much better than any of us could have dreamed of. But he's not an offensive guy. So there's half the lineup doesn't hit anyway. That was when we're fully healthy.
Yeah.
Now with all the injuries, I mean, what I'm astonished is that any team in baseball is pitching to Aaron Judge at all. I would just deliberately walk him every single time because you've got 8 guys that aren't going to hit after him. So
that's what I'm saying. They gotta, because the other thing, you know what else I'm waiting to happen? I'm waiting for them, like Judge will be like 1 or 2 home runs away from breaking Maris's record, and they'll give him an off day.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a lot.
It's in the schedule to give him, that stupid BS is coming.
Do you think they're going to give Aaron Judge an off day today with it being a doubleheader?
It would not surprise. No, are they going to play him both games? Is that healthy?
Well, that's it.
Realistically, do you push him for both games?
I mean, what they'll probably do is, I think they will because they have to. You'll probably DH one of the games.
Maybe, play center or right in one game, DH.
I could probably see that. I think that's responsible. But
it's going to be interesting to see what these lineups look like, and I'm just very, very curious of how creative they're going to get with a doubleheader, because it's not like you got to fix the lineup for one game, and for the day you have 2 games, and I know with the doubleheader you do get to call up another guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know who they're going to bring up to have as the extra man.
In the Boone era, we never take doubleheaders like seriously in terms of sending out a strong lineup in both games. Yeah. There's always one punt lineup.
You think Judge will have something to say? Oh, I absolutely. What he should do is he's such a giant. Just hold Boone in the corner and just lift him off his feet until he puts him in the lineup. That's what that's what Judge should do. Judge should just go freaking ape shit on him. Almost like that Harrison Ford moment. Get off my plane. I'm going in that line.
No, I don't think there's. I don't think even Boone is crazy enough to not play.
No, I would not. No, I would not mess with that man at all. I really wouldn't.
I think Boone knows better than anyone that the only person hitting in this team is Aaron Judge, so they can't afford to not have him.
No,
yeah.
He's got to play every game until the season's officially over.
Pretty much. They don't really have much choice.
Otherwise, they're not going to win any games because he's the only offense for them. You had Marmon and IKF the other day with a little bit of pop. Other than that, if Judge doesn't score, nobody does. He's a one-man wrecking crew, and you can't. And they're too dependent on him.
Yeah, I mean, because they frittered away the entire division, they don't really have much choice but to play Aaron Judge every day.
Yeah, every home run is going to. Yeah, we were saying that. It's every time that Aaron Judge comes to the plate or makes a play in the outfield, that number goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Every game that he plays that he stays healthy for, that price goes up. So that's just there's no other way around that.
That's right.
They have to do what's right. They have to pay. Like we were saying earlier, Jay, they got to pay him. They can't play games with them, and you could almost see that they're putting that outline out where if he does go, they already have their script of what they're going to say to us as fans to try to soften the blow of them just destroying our franchise. That's inevitable. And you could hear it already. That's just the way it is. But that is going to be it for us today. Thank you for hanging out with us for the extra few minutes. We really we enjoy the laughs. We enjoy the comments always.
Always.
Come every day. Hi, Peace J. Thank you.
Yes.
So, wear your pinstripes, your pride, and play hard.